Hey, do you hate dealing with tenants? Here's how to make property management less painful so you can stay mission ready and avoid becoming a full-time landlord. I'm Bud Evans. I'm a 35-year military and police veteran turned real estate pro, and let's get into it. But before we do, do me a favor. It really helps the channel if you like and subscribe and ring that bell. All right, let's talk about why you're going to stick around to the end of the call. It's because nobody really gets into real estate investing because they love being a landlord, especially not if you served in the military or as a first responder. You didn't spend years dealing with high stakes emergencies just to swap out that for tenant drama and clogged toilets. Am I right? Most of us get into this game because we want our time back. We want freedom. We want freedom to spend more moments with our family. We want freedom to walk away from the daily grind and know your money is working even when you're not. But here's the catch. If you're going to self-manage and you don't have a system in place for managing your properties, or if you're flying by the seat of your pants, and that's really bad, you're going to burn out, and fast. I've seen it happen too many times. Smart, capable people who get a few rentals, think they're set, and then boom, they're handling calls during dinner, chasing down late payments, or trying to fix a busted water heater during their one weekend off. And that is not passive income. That's buying another job, and it can really take the joy right out of investing. I get it. You might be thinking, well, but I only have 1 or 2 properties and I'm not really there yet. But that's kind of the trap here. If you don't build these habits and systems early before you scale, you're going to end up creating chaos that's going to grow with your portfolio. So this video is about breaking that cycle before it even starts. And whether you're just starting out or in the thick of growing your portfolio, you're finally reaping the rewards you need. You're going to need a way to manage your tenants, your contractors, and your legal compliance without losing your mind. If your systems are strong, property management becomes, well, kind of boring. And in this business, boring is good. Boring means there's no drama, there's no surprises. It's just steady income and more time back in your life. And isn't that why this really matters? It's not about toilets, tenants, or tech. It's all about your freedom. So let's talk about your big problem. Most new investors, and honestly, some folks with even 10, 20 doors, they approach property management with a wing it mindset, right? They think, how hard can this be? I'm just going to collect rent and then call a plumber if something breaks, right? Jumping out of the airplane and building the parachute on the way down. Well, that works until it doesn't. And then here's what happens. You get a call at 11:30 p.m. because someone flushed something they shouldn't have flushed down your toilet. Then your tenant's cousin moved in without permission, and now your quiet triplex feels like a frat house. Or you go to renew a lease and realize, oops, you never really did a good walkthrough, and now you've got thousands in damage in the property. And that's not a worst case scenario. That shit happens. It's just real life when you're not running a tight ship. And if you're like me and you're prior service or a first responder, you're used to structure, SOPs, chain of command, all that. You know, what happens when things go off script? Chaos ensues. The big problem here is that most investors don't treat their rental properties like a business. They treat it like a side hustle until it becomes a full-blown nightmare and a fire that they're constantly trying to put out. And then another one lights up over here and another one lights up over there. This is especially brutal when you're still on the job and you got shifts, deployments, call-outs. You can't just drop everything and deal with a leaky roof or a 3-day pay or quit notice. The results are missed rent, angry tenants, you're going to burn out. Worst of all, properties that should be building you wealth slowly start to bleed your cash. And here's what makes it worse. And trust me, I've been through this. The more stressed you get, the more tempted you are to say, yeah, screw it all, I'll just sell and get out. And that's what I want to help you avoid. You didn't come this far to quit just because of poor systems. You came this far to build yourself some freedom. The problem isn't you. The problem is the lack of structure. And that is fixable. Hopefully you're nodding your head right now, which is good, and you're in the right place. But listen, if you're a vet or you're a first responder, get your free strategy session. It's no obligation. We'll customize your path to freedom through real estate. If you're just starting out or you have some real estate property management questions, go to budevans.com and click the little button and set up a strategy session. We'll talk about how we can get you financially free. But now let's talk about the lies that people believe about property management. The false narrative that keeps investors stuck, keeps you stressed, and eventually keeps you broke. Lie number 1, and I found this out the hard way. Property management is just common sense. It's not. Common sense isn't common. It doesn't teach you how to handle fair housing laws, write bulletproof leases, serve legal notices in compliance with the law. It doesn't prepare you for an emotional tenant meltdown because the rent went up $25. You can't wing it in a tactical operation, guys. You follow your checklist or an SOP, and managing rentals should really be no different. Lie number 2 is, I'm going to save money by doing everything myself. This one kills me. You think you're saving a few $100 a month by self-managing, but what you're really doing is bleeding time. You're trading your time for money again. That's time that could be spent finding your next deal, improving your systems, or even just living your life. You joined this real estate game for freedom, not to be on call like a property nurse. Lie number 3 is tenants are the problem. There are bad apples in every bunch, but most tenant headaches trace back to poor screening, bad communication, or no structure in your SOPs. It's not about avoiding bad tenants. It's about setting up systems that attract and retain the good ones and filter out the rest of the crap before they even step foot into your property. Lie number 4 is it's not worth hiring help until you have more units. This one is killer. If you have even one unit, you're running a business, and businesses have systems, support, and structure. Trying to manage 1, 3, 5, or 10 doors without systems is like trying to run a fire team without comms. Just a matter of time before friendly fire happens and something blows up. These are the kind of beliefs that trap people in the rat race. They think once I get to 10 doors, it'll be easier. Trust me, if you saw my video about my first 21 doors, without systems, every door just adds more and more chaos. I fell for a few of these early on too, but once I realized property management is a skill and it's learnable, repeatable, and scalable, everything changed. So now let's flip the script on this and talk about what actually works, because once you drop the myths and start running your rental business like a business, management doesn't get easier, it gets boring. And boring is good when you're talking about rental property investing. First, maybe the most important, is your lease. That's your shield. Most landlords download some basic lease template off Google and pray to God that it holds up, but that's not good enough. Your lease has to be customized to your state. It's got to be tight. It's got to be full of clear expectations, rent due dates, pet policies, late fees, maintenance responsibilities. It goes on and on and on, and it all goes in the lease. Mine's 18 pages with all the addendums. I treat my lease like a training manual because if it's not in writing, guess what? It doesn't exist. That lease has to answer 90% or more of all your tenant questions before they even think to ask them. The result, fewer phone calls, fewer misunderstandings, fewer surprises. But guess what? It doesn't always stop it. You got to point back to that section of the lease and tell them, no, this is why you need to mow the lawn. I'm not doing it. Next, we're going to use tech to automate and communicate. This is a big one. I use Buildium and Tenant Turner, rent collection, maintenance tracking, lease storage, and communication. Tenants can submit maintenance requests straight from their phones. We use Vendoroo for that, and I can approve or dispatch work orders with a few steps. Late fee, automatic. Payment reminder, automatic. Renewals, tracked. This isn't just about saving time, it's about being consistent, and consistency builds trust. Third, and I cannot stress this enough, have a process for everything. Your tenant moves in, there's a checklist. You have a maintenance issue, there's a checklist. Lease renewal, there's a checklist. When you're running your rentals like a pro, you're not just making decisions in the heat of the moment. You're executing the process. Just like in the service, you don't improvise under pressure. You follow what your protocols and what you're trained to do. Fourth, hire the right people before you become desperate. And this is where most of the DIY landlords get burned. They wait until something breaks to find a plumber, or worse, they do it themselves. Build your team now. Have a handyman, have a plumber, have an HVAC tech, a locksmith, a cleaning crew, pest control contact. It's all got to be saved in your phone. And guess what? Sometimes those guys, when you pick up the phone and you call them, they go, yeah, we don't do that anymore. We retired, right? Be ready for that. Think of it like a unit deployment. You don't want to be figuring out who's covering what after boots are already on the ground. Prep ahead and your property's going to run smooth, even when you're not involved day to day. Finally, and I cannot stress this enough, your time is valuable. I said this before and I'll say it again. The goal here isn't to work in your business, it's to work on it. Every hour that you spend chasing tenants, fixing toilets, or answering texts is an hour you're not growing your income to freedom. Delegate, automate, elevate. That's how you expand and scale. All right, let's wrap this up by covering some of the most common and most expensive mistakes that I see landlords are making. These are the things that turn rental properties from passive income machines into full-blown, no kidding, money-sucking disasters. Mistake number 1 is getting emotionally attached. Guys, this is a business. It doesn't matter how nice the tenants are or how well they promise to catch up on rent. If they're not performing, you have to act. This isn't about being cold-hearted. It's about protecting your asset and keeping your promises to yourself and your family. If they are not paying rent and after 5 days they get a late fee and then they get a pay or quit notice in 5 more days, do it. I've had to evict tenants that I genuinely liked. I've had tenants who cried on the phone, told me their story, swore they'd get it fixed, and months later, guess what? Still no rent. Now I treat it like mission readiness. If a soldier's not showing up for duty, you don't just hope they'll show up next week. You go after them. Mistake number 2 is not screening properly. You can't hope someone's going to be a good tenant. You have to verify it. You got to pull their credit, call their past landlords, confirm their income, look at social media profiles. I'm not kidding about that. Track them on Facebook. If someone's been all over Facebook bragging about partying every weekend, huge red flag. They're going to destroy your property. And if anyone other than the actual applicant is doing the talking, pay attention. I've seen sons apply for moms, girlfriends apply for boyfriends. If someone's managing the process for them, there's usually a reason and there's usually a problem that's going to surface soon. All right. Underestimating costs. People love to say this place rents for $1,500 and the mortgage is $1,000, so I'm cash flowing $500 a month. No, you're not. You've got maintenance, vacancy, capital expenses, insurance, taxes, maybe utilities, maybe property management if you're not doing yourself. Once you add all that up, that $500 turns into, God hope, $50 or you're going to be negative. I've owned cheap properties that cash flowed like crazy on paper, but bled me dry in reality. Every month it was something. There were trees falling, pipes bursting, driveways cracking. Now I budget for every expense before I ever even make the offer. And I've been doing that for a couple of years now, and it seems to be working. Mistake number 4 is trying to do it all yourself. This one is especially common with us military and first responder types because we're used to handling it, right? But real estate is a team sport. And the more you try to do yourself, the more your property and your life is going to get complicated and your family life is going to suffer. I used to take part in mowing the lawns, painting the units, fixing the leaks, and I realized my time is worth a lot more than that. Now I teach others to build systems, outsource it intelligently, and treat it like it's a scalable business, not just a second job. Mistake number 5, set boundaries. If you give a tenant an inch, they're going to take a mile. Rent's due on the 1st, stick to it. Maintenance requests, go through the portal. Don't text me. Every time you bend your own rules, you train your tenants to do the same. And I cannot state this enough. I have sent opt-in text messages to the same tenant for the last 3 months. You can be kind, but you've got to be firm. You're not their friend, you're their housing provider. And when that line is clear, things run a lot smoother. Don't take the text message. Send them a text message back saying, we don't do business through the phone. Send it through the portal. All right, so let's recap here. Property management does not have to be a nightmare if you follow these steps. So whether you're just getting started or managing a small portfolio, you can build systems that are going to make this work, make it sustainable, and even enjoyable. You're not in this game to be on call 24/7. We've done that already. You're in it for your freedom. You're in it for time with your family, the ability to walk away from shift work or deployment schedules, or to never need to take another overtime shift again. So I promised you a checklist. Here's what we're going to do. I want you to walk away with this. Start with your systems, automate what you can. Templates, checklists, apps like Flipperforce or Buildium, use the tech. Next, outsource your weaknesses. Property managers, virtual assistants, local handymen, get them lined up before you need them. Third, screen your tenants like a hawk. It's easier to avoid problems than it is to solve them later. Treat this like a business, not a hobby. It's not a side hustle. It's a cash flowing actual business. If you take these steps, I promise you're going to spend less time putting out fires and more time enjoying your freedom. And listen, if you're active duty, retired, or a first responder, you already know what it means to lead under pressure. This is just another mission, and I've got your back. If you need help with this whole process, do me a favor, go over to buttevans.com and book a strategy session with me, and we can talk about it. Here's what you do next. First, hit the like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss the next video. Next, I said it, go visit buttevans.com if you're a veteran or first responder ready to start your journey into financial freedom through real estate. Book a strategy session with me. No kidding, it's not a sales pitch, guys. I'm here to help you craft a plan, whether you're flipping, wholesaling, or building a buy and hold portfolio like I did using the BRRRR strategy. Next, go down into the description and check out Flipperforce. If you're still trying to manage receipts in a shoebox or track your projects in spreadsheets, it's time to upgrade. Flipperforce is the one tool that I use to estimate rehab costs, analyze my deals, and keep projects on track. There's a link in the description. It's a free trial plus 25% off your membership if you like it after 30 days. Now here's the final thought. You don't need to know everything to get started. You just need a plan and the balls to take the next step. Let's stop trading time for money and start building something that gives you both time and money. Thanks for watching. Until the next video, aim high.